They say betrayal doesn't always arrive screaming. Asterisk, sometimes it arrives quietly. In a text message, on a normal afternoon, from the person who promised to love you. At 4 o'clock that day, my phone vibrated. No warning, no discussion. Asterisk, just a message that would permanently change how I saw my marriage. My family deserves the reservation more. My CEO is in town. And I need that table to close a promotion. Your dad belongs in some cheap pub anyway. He'd be more comfortable there. I read it once, then again. Asterisk, nothing happened at first. No shaking hands. No racing heart. No tears. Just stillness. Asterisk, the kind of stillness you feel when a door slams shut somewhere deep inside you. And you know it's never opening again. Asterisk, because in that moment, I understood something clearly for the first time. Asterisk, my husband wasn't asking. Asterisk.
He had already taken it. Asterisk, I had made that reservation weeks ago for one reason only. My father's
65th birthday. A quiet celebration. A thank you dinner for a man who had spent his entire life putting himself last. Asterisk, but while I was at work that morning, my husband had called the restaurant. He changed the name on the booking. He transferred the table to himself like it was his property. Asterisk, and he didn't even bother pretending otherwise. Asterisk.
He thought he had won. He thought I would panic, apologize, scramble to fix things, find some
Last-minute diner for my father while he entertained his boss using my effort. My planning, my access, that's who I had become in his mind. A resource, an accessory. I stared at my phone for a long time before replying. Then I sent 6 words. My brother owns this place. No explanation, no punctuation drama. Asterisk, just truth. The message stayed on read. He didn't respond, he didn't believe me, and that disbelief, that arrogance, would cost him everything, because this wasn't just about a restaurant. It was about years of quiet disrespect. Asterisk, years of subtle humiliation. Asterisk, years of being treated like I was lucky just to be included. My father, Brian, had grease embedded into his hands so deeply it never fully washed out. Asterisk, 40 years as a mechanic will do that to you. Asterisk, he wasn't the kind of man who talked about hard work. He lived it. He could tell you what was wrong with an engine just by listening to the sound it made when you turned the key. Asterisk.
He didn't have credentials framed on the wall. He had calluses, a permanently stiff back, asterisk, and hands that shook slightly.
At the end of long days, asterisk, when my mother left.
He didn't fall apart. He adjusted. Double shifts. Missed holidays. Quiet exhaustion. Asterisk, he made sure I had school supplies.
Braces, books. He never complained. Never asked for credit. Never once made me feel like a burden. Asterisk, he was invisible to the world, but he was everything to me. Logan never understood that. Logan didn't build things. Logan sold images. Asterisk, he worked in tech sales and liked to describe himself as a visionary. Even though most of his job involved talking louder than everyone else in the room. Asterisk, he ironed his jeans. Asterisk, he leased a car that cost more than my entire first year of college, just so it could sit in the front row where people would see it. Asterisk, he believed success wasn't something you earned, it was something you performed. Asterisk, and my father didn't fit the performance. Asterisk, when Dad visited our home, he scrubbed his hands 3 times before touching anything.
He perched on the edge of the sofa, afraid of leaving a mark. Asterisk, Logan watched him with that polite,
tight smile people use when they're tolerating something they don't respect. Asterisk, the smile you give a stray dog someone else brought inside. Asterisk, he never openly insulted my father at first. He didn't have to. I felt it. Asterisk, in the way he corrected his grammar. Asterisk, in the way he sighed when Dad fixed things instead of calling professionals. Asterisk, in the way he talked about networks and circles. Like my father existed outside of humanity. Asterisk, to Logan. My father represented failure, and Logan was terrified of being invisible. That's why the gilded anchor mattered so much to him. Asterisk, it wasn't just a restaurant, it was proof. A glass and mahogany fortress on the Boston waterfront where power didn't knock, it walked in. Asterisk, you couldn't book it casually. There was a waiting list, but the right people didn't wait. CEOS. senators, old money families. They were welcome. Logan talked about that place like it was holy ground. He followed their Instagram like scripture. He networked with people he didn't even like just to get closer. Eating there wasn't about food. It was about being seen. For my father's birthday, I wanted one thing, for him to feel visible, just for one night, so I secured the reservation. I didn't tell Logan how. I just told him I had it. And the moment I did, I saw it, that look, hunger, not excitement, not happiness for my father. Opportunity. He didn't see a birthday, he saw leverage. And like everything else in my life,
He decided it was wasted on my family. We lived in the guest house behind
his parents' estate. On paper, it sounded generous. In reality, it was control. Logan liked to tell people we were saving for our forever home. The truth was simpler. I paid. They benefited. And I was expected to be grateful. I didn't realize yet that the chain around my neck wasn't security. It was ownership, and the text message at 4 o'clock that afternoon. That was the moment the chain snapped. The air inside the house that week felt heavier than usual. Not loud. Not chaotic. Heavy, like something poisonous had been released and was slowly filling every corner. Logan was restless.
He didn't sit down, he paced.
His phone was glued to his hand, refreshing emails, checking flight details, rehearsing conversations under his breath. His CEO was flying in from New York on Saturday, the same Saturday as my father's birthday dinner, and Logan was unraveling. For weeks, he had tried everything to get into the Gilded Anchor. He called assistants, he name-dropped executives. He hinted at future favors. He even offered to donate to a charity the restaurant sponsored. Nothing worked, then. On Wednesday night, I walked in and found him standing in the middle of the living room, staring at my iPad like it had personally offended him. He looked up slowly. "You have a reservation,"
He said. It wasn't a question. I set my bag down carefully. I saw the confirmation email, he continued.
7 o'clock, waterfront table, prime time.
He stepped closer, his voice lowering. How did you get it? I met his eyes.
I have a contact. He laughed. Sharp, dismissive. And you didn't think to mention that while I've been killing myself trying to get one? It's for my dad's birthday, I said. I already told you.
His expression changed. Not confusion, not disappointment. Calculation. Cancel it. The word hung in the air like a threat. What?
I said cancel the birthday. Dinner, he replied flatly. Or transfer the reservation to me. I need that table, Emma. My chest tightened. No, he sighed like I was being unreasonable. Be practical, he said. My CEO expects the best. If I take him somewhere average, I look weak. If I walk him into the Gilded Anchor on a Saturday night, I look powerful. I get the promotion. We get the money. This is my father's 65th birthday. Logan scoffed. Emma, your dad is a mechanic. He drinks beer from a can. He doesn't know the difference between dry-aged steak and supermarket meat. He'll be uncomfortable. He'll embarrass me just by being there. Something inside me cracked. He's my father, I said, my voice shaking. And he deserves one night where he isn't treated like he's invisible. Logan's face hardened. He is invisible, he snapped. That's his place in life. Don't drag me down with him. Silence. Then the ultimatum. Give me the reservation code, he said, or don't expect me to cover anything around here next month. You want to play the independent woman? Fine. See how far you get without my family's support. That was when I walked away. I locked the bedroom door. I didn't give him the code. But I underestimated him. The next morning, while I was in the shower, Logan went through my phone. He found the email. He forwarded it to himself. Then he called the restaurant, impersonating me, and changed the name on the reservation. I didn't know any of this yet. I only found out on Saturday afternoon at exactly 4 o'clock. That text. The one that told me my father belonged in a cheap pub, That was the moment Logan believed he had outplayed me. He thought he had stolen something valuable. What he didn't know was that he hadn't stolen a reservation. He had activated consequences that had been waiting patiently for years. Asterisk. Saturday night arrived wrapped in cold Boston mist. I picked my father up myself. He was standing outside his apartment wearing his one good suit, a charcoal gray jacket he'd bought for my mother's funeral 10 years earlier. It pulled tight across his shoulders, but his shoes were polished until they reflected the streetlights. Asterisk. He looked nervous. He also looked proud. You sure about this, kiddo? He asked as we pulled up to the valet stand. That place looks expensive. Maybe we should just get burgers. Asterisk. No burgers tonight, I said, squeezing his hand. Tonight you eat like a king. Inside, the gilded anchor felt unreal. Marble floors, gold accents, the low hum of wealth. Asterisk. At the host stand, I gave my name. The maître d' frowned. I see the reservation, he said slowly. But your party has already been seated. Table 4. By the water. I see, I replied calmly. Too calmly. Asterisk. We walked into the dining room, and there they were, Logan. Asterisk. His parents, and his CEO, laughing, drinking, settled into the best table in the restaurant. Logan noticed us first. His smile faltered, then hardened. He stood quickly and blocked our path. What are you doing here? He hissed. Asterisk. You stole my reservation. I said loud enough for nearby tables to hear. Asterisk. I repurposed it, he corrected, glancing nervously at his boss. Look at your father. He doesn't belong here. He looks like he's here to fix something. My father's shoulders slumped. No, I said. We're not leaving. Logan grabbed my arm. You're making a scene, he whispered. Leave now or you won't have a home tonight. That was the moment. The exact second everything shifted. Asterisk. I pulled my arm free. I didn't look at Logan. I looked toward the kitchen doors, and I raised my hand. Not a wave, a signal. The doors opened. Asterisk and Christopher walked out. The entire dining room fell into an unnatural silence the moment Christopher stepped through those doors. Not the kind of silence that feels polite, the kind that feels commanded. Asterisk.
He wasn't wearing a server's uniform. He wasn't rushing. He
wasn't looking around. Asterisk. He moved with the confidence of a man who didn't need permission to exist in that space. Asterisk. Pristine chef's whites. His name embroidered cleanly over his chest. Every step deliberate. Every movement calm. The staff froze. Conversation stopped. Mid-sentence. Forks hovered in the air. Even the soft piano music seemed to fade. Asterisk. The maître d' straightened immediately and lowered his head in respect. Asterisk. Christopher walked past Logan without even acknowledging him. Asterisk. No eye contact, no pause, as if Logan wasn't there at all. He stopped directly in front of my father. Happy birthday, Dad, he said, his voice warm and steady. He hugged him tightly. No hesitation. Asterisk. No concern about grease stains or cheap fabric. Asterisk. My father stood frozen for a second, then slowly wrapped his arms around him. Overwhelmed, the room watched. Then Christopher turned. Slowly, deliberately, his eyes landed on Logan, and whatever color Logan still had left drained from his face. Asterisk. I believe, Christopher said calmly, his voice carrying across the room. You're sitting at my father's table. No shouting, no insults, just authority. For several seconds, nobody moved. Then Logan laughed too fast, too loud, already panicking. Christopher! I didn't know you were working tonight, he said, his voice cracking as he turned to his CEO. Mr. Sterling, this is Emma's brother. We go way back. This was actually my idea, a surprise. He looked at me, begging. Asterisk. Right? Christopher didn't even glance at me. Stop talking,
he said quietly. 2 words. Logan froze. Christopher snapped his fingers once. A server appeared instantly,
placing a silver tray in front of the CEO. Asterisk. On it lay a single cream-colored sheet of paper. Asterisk. What's this? Logan asked, his smile collapsing. Asterisk. That's not the food bill, Christopher replied evenly. That's the cost of pretending. Mr. Sterling adjusted his glasses and began reading. Christopher didn't. Need the paper, he recited from memory. Italian marble tile. $4,000. Asterisk heated flooring system. 3,000. Asterisk custom vanity and imported fixtures. 2,500. Susan gasped audibly. Jeffrey stared into his wine. Asterisk monthly utility payments quietly funneled from my sisters. Account 2,500. Asterisk Christopher leaned forward, placing both hands on the table. Asterisk total taken from my sister to renovate a house she does not own. $12,000. Paid in full by Emma. The dining room felt like it had lost oxygen. Logan stood abruptly. Asterisk, this is a setup, he shouted. You planned this. His voice cracked as his reality shattered. You lied to me, he screamed at me. You said your brother was a cook. I said you never asked, I replied calmly. Christopher continued. Asterisk, he financed his lifestyle, his parents' lifestyle, and his illusion of success on my sister's earnings for 3 years. Mr. Sterling looked up from the paper slowly. His expression wasn't angry. It was disgusted. Sit down, Logan, he said quietly. But sir, sit down. Logan collapsed into the chair. This promotion, Mr. Sterling continued, was for leadership. He stood, not parasites. Asterisk Logan whispered, please. Mr. Sterling didn't look back. Susan and Jeffrey sat motionless, waiting like they always had for me to fix things. I didn't. I removed my wedding ring, placed it on the tray. This, I said, is your severance package? Logan reached for my hand. Emma, please. I was under pressure. Asterisk, you weren't under pressure, I said. You were under the illusion that I was optional. I turned to my father. Ready to eat? He straightened his jacket. Starving. Asterisk, Christopher smiled. Asterisk, he led us through the kitchen past stunned staff into a private room filled with warmth, noise, and real laughter. Asterisk, as we ate, I realized something simple and permanent. I hadn't lost anything. I had reclaimed myself. The private room behind the kitchen didn't look like wealth. Asterisk, there were no chandeliers. No gold trim. No quiet rules about how loud you were allowed to laugh. Asterisk, it smelled like rosemary, garlic, and real food. Asterisk, the table was scarred from years of use. The chairs didn't match. The walls were warm with noise, clattering pans, cooks shouting orders, laughter spilling in from the kitchen like life itself. Asterisk, this was the heart of the place. Asterisk, Christopher pulled out a chair for my father. Not like a favor, but like it was the most natural thing in the world. Asterisk, sit, he said. You're the guest of honor. Asterisk, my father hesitated, the way men do when they've spent their lives believing they don't deserve special treatment. Then he sat down, shoulders straight, eyes shining. The steaks arrived sizzling, perfectly cooked, juices pooling on the plates. My father took one bite and closed his eyes. For a moment, he didn't speak. Then he laughed, a deep, unguarded sound I hadn't heard in years. Damn, he said. I should have retired earlier. Asterisk, we laughed until our sides hurt. Asterisk, Dad told stories about his shop, about customers who ignored his advice and paid for it later, about engines that came back from the dead, about mistakes he made when he was young and how he learned from every single one. Asterisk. No one interrupted him. No one rolled their eyes. No one checked their phone. Asterisk, he wasn't invisible here. Asterisk, for the first time in 3 years, neither was I. Asterisk, at one point, my father looked at me carefully, the way he always had when something felt off. Asterisk, you okay, kiddo? He asked quietly. I nodded, and for the first time, it wasn't a lie. Asterisk, outside that room, Logan sat alone at a table he could never afford. Asterisk, the noise around him had returned. The restaurant had moved on. The performance was over. Asterisk, what was left was silence, and the slow realization that everything he thought made him powerful had been rented, not earned. The job, the status, the lifestyle. Asterisk, all of it paid for by someone he believed was beneath him. Asterisk, psychologists have a term for what Logan suffered that night, a narcissistic collapse. When the identity you built collapses publicly and there's nowhere to hide. Asterisk Logan didn't lose his promotion. Because of one dinner. Asterisk he lost it because men like Mr. Sterling recognize something instantly. Character, and Logan had none. Asterisk I left my wedding ring behind without hesitation. Asterisk it wasn't a diamond. It was a promise that was never meant to be kept. Asterisk as for the house, the renovations, the money. Asterisk that $12,000. It bought me clarity. It bought me freedom. It bought me the knowledge that I was never poor. I was simply surrounded by people who fed on insecurity. There's a kind of poverty that has nothing to do with money. It's the poverty of the soul, the belief that if you collect enough expensive things, you'll become valuable. Asterisk Logan wore $1,000 suit and was bankrupt inside. Asterisk my father wore a $50 suit from a discount rack and was the richest man I knew. I spent years trying to earn a seat at a table where I was never welcome. What I didn't realize was that I had been building my own table all along. Asterisk, and the view from it? It was perfect, if you've ever been treated like an option while being expected to act like a priority. Asterisk, if you've ever been made to feel small so someone else could feel important. Remember this, people who need to step on others to stand tall were never standing to begin with. You are not alone, and you never needed their table.